Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It's Money Making Monday over on PrizePicks. Shout out to everybody who's joining me this morning for some NBA player prop talk. My name's CJ. If you haven't been here before, hit the subscribe button. Make sure that notifications are turned on. You can do that by clicking the bell icon. That way, anytime I go live or post any type of content, you are notified immediately and not left out in the cold. Nobody wants to be left out in the cold during the hot summer, right? So I appreciate everybody being here. Also, if you feel so inclined, if you feel led to drop a like on today's video, on today's live stream, I would appreciate that very much. Our goal is always 99.5 likes. Of course, I'm taking the over. Life's too short to take the under, so I'm always taking the over on 99.5 likes. Appreciate all the support as usual. We got two games tonight, two NBA playoff games. A couple of these series now are in game 4. We're talking Boston, Milwaukee, starting things off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Should be a fun one. And then not so fun for reasons that are out of our control. The Memphis Grizzlies at the Golden State Warriors. Tip-off time is 10 p.m. Eastern time. Unfortunately, with this one, the big cloud looming is Ja Morant's injury. The status of Ja Morant tonight. I don't think he plays tonight, folks. I don't think Ja Morant's going to lace them up. And it's unfortunate because has there been anybody hotter? Maybe Luka Doncic. Has there been anybody hotter than Ja Morant in the playoffs so far? It is unfortunate when injuries rob us, the fans, and them, the players, of greatness, right? And unfortunately, it sounds like we're going to be without Ja Morant tonight. So it's definitely going to shake things up for this series and for tonight's game, of course. So we'll have to dig into that a little bit deeper, see kind of what happens with the Memphis Grizzlies when Ja Morant's off the floor. Maybe some of these other guys step up, like a Tyus Jones, who is probably going to take over the point guard role for the Memphis Grizzlies. So maybe he steps into a bigger role and in that case has more productivity. But yeah, it's unfortunate that injuries are robbing us and robbing Ja Morant of being out there in the playoffs against Golden State. Having a fantastic playoff run, and of course, Ja Morant just tearing it up over the course of the regular season. So we'll definitely get into that. Other big news was that Nikola Jokic was named MVP. What do you guys think about that? Did Joker deserve the MVP? We knew it was pretty much a 3-horse race. Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. We had Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. And of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak of the Milwaukee Bucks. Do you think that they voted the right guy in for the MVP award this season? This is Nikola Jokic's second MVP award. Was he deserving, or did they get the wrong guy in there? Did they get it wrong? Is Jokic not the right choice? Maybe you could make an argument for Embiid. Giannis is always going to be in the conversation. But yeah, nonetheless, Nikola the Joker, Jokic, bagging his second MVP award. Tony Ruiz says that the right guy was selected. Nikola Jokic was the right choice. I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of those three guys, right? I mean, I don't think any of us would be too mad if they voted Embiid as the MVP or they voted Giannis as the MVP, right? Can't really go wrong with any of those three guys. But Tony's definitely, from what it looks like, Team Jokic. And then Jeremiah says, Jokic was the wrong guy. Well, if not Jokic, then who, Jeremiah? Who would you have selected in place of Nikola Jokic? Maybe you go Embiid? Maybe you go Giannis? Interesting. But anyway, both Embiid and Giannis still in the playoffs. Nikola Jokic, he's at home watching these guys play basketball. Michael McNeil saying that Jimmy Buckets is the true MVP. Now, I can't get on board with that. I do not subscribe to Jimmy Butler being the MVP. Not even in the race. Jeremiah says Giannis, to be honest. That kind of rhymes. Giannis, to be honest. Giannis for MVP. Yeah, I mean, I can't be mad at you guys wanting to go with Giannis for the MVP. Nikola Jokic had a fantastic season, though. I'm really not mad at any of those guys. Everyday Fantasy says that nobody in the NBA history has his stats this season. Are you talking about Jokic? Chris Smith thinks that Jokic absolutely deserved it. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. Chris Smith says that Jimmy Butler could be the playoff MVP so far. Are you sure about that? Are we sure it's not Ja Morant or Luka Doncic for MVP so far? You really think it's Jimmy Butler? One of the most inconsistent guys as far as sports betting, player props? I don't know about that, man. I like Jimmy. I think Jimmy's a hell of a player, but I'm just not sure that he's the guy for an MVP award. Duncan says, interesting how the MVP candidates are all 7-footers and the center position is as volatile as ever. Yeah, Tony's saying Morant or Luka maybe for the playoff MVP conversation. I hear you, man. That's kind of who I'm rocking with. Morant or Luka. Anyway, so that's what's going on in the NBA. Ja Morant's injury, obviously big one. That's going to impact things tonight, both for the Memphis Grizzlies and for the Golden State Warriors Memphis Grizzlies game and series potentially, depending on how serious this injury is to Ja Morant. So you got that. And then you got big Nikola Jokic winning the MVP. Have you guys heard of Wordle? Some of you guys out there may have played Wordle before, but have you heard of Poeltl? Yeah, like Jakob Poeltl of the San Antonio Spurs. Let's take a look at that real quick. It's a little game somebody put together out there. You can find this at poeltl.dunk.town if you want to play. It's a little daily guess who type of game for NBA. So basically you have to guess the mystery player. Figure maybe you guys can help me solve today's Poeltl. It's like Wordle, but for NBA. You get 8 guesses. Try any current NBA player. Green in any column indicates that you have found a match. Yellow in the team column indicates that the mystery player at one point has played for that team but does not play for that team currently. Yellow in the position column indicates a partial match to the mystery player's position. And then yellow in any other column indicates that this attribute is within 2 inches, years, numbers of the mystery player. If you get stuck, try enabling the silhouette mode. A new mystery player every day. So why don't we start with today's MVP, Nikola Jokic, right? We'll start there. Plug him in. And now we've got a little bit of confirmation here. It's not Nikola Jokic, but this player does play in the Western Conference. He's below 6'11". He's more than 27 years old. And his jersey number is below number 15. Doesn't play for Denver, but is in the Western Conference, is not in the Northwest Division, does not play center, is below 6'11", is older than 27, and his jersey number is less than 15. Okay. Where do we go from there? Let's try the king, LeBron James. I think he fits most of that criteria. Okay, we're pretty close now. It's not LeBron James, though, but this guy does play for the Lakers. He is in the Western Conference. He is in the Pacific Division. He does play forward. He's shorter than 6'9". He's younger than 37 years old, and his jersey number is above number 6. Well, there's another guy that plays for the Lakers that probably fits a lot of that criteria. How about Carmelo Anthony? Whew, close. We're getting closer. Close, but no cigar. So we know he's on the Lakers, which obviously means he's in the Western Conference, which obviously means he's in the Pacific Division, which obviously means we're on the right track here. But he's shorter than 6'7". He's younger than 37 years old, and his jersey number is higher than number 7, but also lower than number 15. I thought it was Carmelo Anthony. I would have thought for sure. So below 6'7", jersey number between 15 and 7. But he's younger than 37 years old on the Lakers. You guys think it's Kendrick Nunn? Isn't Kendrick Nunn a guard, though? Now, Yellow says that we're like a partial match. So we're looking for like a guard forward. I'm seeing a lot of Carmelo Anthony. That's what I thought, too. It's not Carmelo Anthony, though. This guy's shorter than 6'7". He's younger than 37 years old. Kendrick Nunn? I mean, we could try Kendrick Nunn. What's Kendrick Nunn's jersey number? Is it between 15 and 7? Bazemore? There you go. Maybe that one is... All right, let's try Malik Monk. I like Malik Monk more than I like Kendrick Nunn. I think Malik Monk is more qualified as a forward. Damn. It is not. It is not, I repeat, it is not Malik Monk. So now we know that this guy's between 6'3" and 6'7". We know that he's between 27 years old and 37 years old. Could it be Anthony Davis? Could it be AD? What's AD's jersey number? 3? No, it's got to be a number higher than 7 or 6. Talen Horton-Tucker. I think Talen Horton-Tucker is not 27 years old. He's not between 27 and 37 years old. Isn't Talen Horton-Tucker younger? Reeves? Austin Reeves? Is Austin Reeves older than 27? Bazemore. Let's try Kent Bazemore out. Boom. Whoever was on Kent Bazemore, congratulations. We just solved today's Poeltl in 5 guesses. It is Kent Bazemore. Congratulations to those who got Kent Bazemore correct. Wow. We did our thing today. We did it, gang. All right, now that our brains are a little bit warmed up, right, we can start getting into some of these player props. But the answer was absolutely Kent Bazemore. You guys, if you want to play this on your own, go to Poeltl, like Jakob Poeltl, Poeltl.dunk.town. Poeltl.dunk.town. You can play this daily. We've already solved today's together. Kent Bazemore. So a new one's posted every single day. Maybe I'll start doing these on the live streams every morning. Get our brains warmed up. Get ourselves thinking critically, right? Pretty fun little game, though. All right. Now that we've taken care of that, let's talk about some NBA player props. We're going to be taking a look at the points props first and foremost, starting with Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, we've got a lot of different ways to go here on this Bucks-Celtics game. So you guys let me know which point props that you guys want me to take a look at. Taylor Genghis is asking, who was yesterday's Poeltl? Well, I thought it was Jeremy Grant, and I was really close, but it was actually... You ready for it? I told you this guy was off the grid. It was actually TJ Warren of the Indiana Pacers. That was yesterday's Poeltl. So there you go. All right, let's take a look here. Points props. Celtics, Bucks. Let's start with that one. Just taking a look at some of these hit rates here when these teams face off against one another. You got Bobby Portis at 11.5 points. He's hit his prop in 78% of the games against the Boston Celtics. So he's 78% hit rate out of the last 9 games. You got Grayson Allen at 9.5 points, 56% hit rate in his last 9 versus the Celtics. You got Robert the Time Lord Williams at 8.5, 56% hit rate against the Bucks in his last 9. And then a lot of these other guys hitting at 44%. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. From there, you got Brook Lopez, Al Horford, Drew Holiday, Pat Connaughton, Grant Williams, and Giannis Antetokounmpo down at 30.5 points. Just a 33% hit rate in his last 9 against the Boston Celtics. So which points props are you guys wanting to get to? Monday's Poeltl, we just solved Monday's Poeltl. It was Kent Bazemore of the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, you guys let me know which points props. We'll start things off. Let's take a look at Jason Tatum. I'm sure he's going to be a very popular option, so why not, right? Why not? Let's just take a look and see what Tatum's been up to over the playoff run this season. Bump him down to 27.5 if you're not using props.cash. You ought to be. Props.cash, just $20 a month. Your first month, I can get you 25% off. Use code Curry. There's a link down in the description below for you to sign up for props.cash. But Jason Tatum in this series so far has been one tough nut to crack. He's been difficult to try to figure out in terms of scoring, right? Throughout the playoffs, he is now 4 for 7 at covering 27.5 points against the Milwaukee Bucks this season. 27.5. He's only covered his points prop twice out of 6 meetings. Now, in this series, game 1, he had 21 points. Game 2 came back with 29 points. Game 3, my man had just 10 points. So is Jason Tatum due for a bounce back game, or is he going to continue to struggle against this Milwaukee Bucks team? Let's dissect his 3 games against the Milwaukee Bucks in this series and see what's going on with Jason Tatum. First game, he played about 40 minutes. Second game, he played over 42. And the third game, he played over 41 minutes. So the minutes are plentiful for Jason Tatum. He's out there. He's running around. Now, his shots, not so high compared to some of these previous games against Milwaukee. He had 18 in game 1. 20 shots in game 2 and 19 shots in game 3. So he's, attempting 18 to 20 shots per game throughout 3 games in this series. The big issue is field goal percentage. The games in which he didn't hit, 33%, 6 for 18, 4 for 19 in game 3, 21%. If he could get closer to 50% and shoot the ball about 20 times, he'll have a really strong chance at hitting the over on his point prop. Part of the issue for him in game 3 was 0 for 6 from beyond the arc. Did not have a good shooting performance there. The previous 2 games, though, his 3-point props looking very good. 4 for 9, 5 for 10. So he just had a really bad shooting game, especially from 3-point land in game 3. So maybe he bounces back there. We've also seen his free throws, attempts, and makes dip game over game in 3 consecutive games in this series. So you'd like to see Tatum get into the free throw line a little bit more. But that's kind of the rundown on Jason Tatum, what's been going on with him in this series. You got to imagine that after a 10-point performance, Jason Tatum is probably going to bounce back. Now, I don't know if he's going to go over 27.5. In fact, nobody knows if he's going to go over 27.5, but I do expect him to score more than 10 points tonight. Is that fair? I think that's fair. So we move ahead here. We'll get you a projection on Jason Tatum's points. And to pull this projection, we're using Action Labs, which is a part of Fantasy Labs. We've got Jason Tatum projected for 32.1 points. Now, that seems a little bit high to me. Why does that seem high to me? Well, he's only hit 30 points once against the Milwaukee Bucks this season. It was back in December. He did drop 42. We know he's capable. He's capable, but 32 seems a little bit rich. Out on your favorite sports books, he's at 28.5 points. At 28.5, most people, real life sports bettors with real money in hand, are taking the under on 28.5 points, which is probably why we get him at 27.5 over here on PrizePicks. So what are you guys doing with Jason Tatum? You taking the over or under? Jeremiah saying he cannot trust Jason Tatum. He's either going with one of the bigs for Boston, Al Horford or Robert Williams. Are you talking about for points? Okay. Now, some of you guys are saying Boston is going to win or lose, live or die by Jaylen Brown. That Milwaukee's basically going to take Jason Tatum away and make other guys beat him. Guys like Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Robert Williams, Grant Williams, maybe even Derek White. They're going to make other players beat him. We've seen Jaylen Brown have some pretty decent games here. So let's take a look at him. If you're not liking Jason Tatum to go over on points, and you also don't feel comfortable taking the under on him, maybe we look at his teammate here, his Robin to his Batman, right? Jason Tatum being Batman, Jaylen Brown being Robin. Maybe we go to Robin if we don't trust Batman. Now, Jaylen Brown, 24.5 points. You're going to look at his game logs from the playoffs this year, and you're going to look at him and be like, ugh, it's kind of ugly, right? Well, it was pretty ugly. In the series against Brooklyn, did not score the ball very well. Game 1 against Milwaukee, just 12 points. But the last 2 games, Jaylen Brown has perked up. He's come alive in the last 2. Let's see what he's done against Milwaukee this season at 24.5. He's now 3 for 6, 50%. Hit the over in 3 games and the under in the other 3. But the last 2 games have been especially good for Jaylen Brown. So let's take a look at those last 2 games and see what's the difference here for Jaylen Brown versus game 1. Game 1, terrible output for him. But he did play 38 minutes, came back, played 38.2 in game 2, 39.6 minutes in game 3. So the minutes have been pretty steady at 38 to 39 per game. His field goal attempts, game 1 were really down. He only shot the ball 13 times, was 4 for 13, just did not have himself a good game. Now in games 2 and 3, 18 and 16 field goal attempts, much better there. And his percentages have been fantastic, 61% and 50% for a shooting guard from the field. You're doing pretty well for yourself if you're at 50% or higher from the field. Looking at the three-point attempts, game 1, he shot 9. He was 3 for 9. Game 2, he shot 10, was 6 for 10. Anytime you go 6 for 10 from three-point land, you're cooking. You're cooking with fish grease, right? 60% from beyond the arc is fantastic. Now, that obviously fell off a cliff in game 3. His attempts were basically cut in half, and then his field goal percentage from three-point land dropped all the way down to 20% from 60% in the previous game. So maybe we see his three-point shots go up a little bit more in game 4 tonight. As far as free throw attempts go, very aggressive, got to the basket, got fouled quite a bit, got to the free throw line 11 times, made 10 out of 11, 91% from free throw makes, and 10 for 11. He's going to hit his points prop if he's getting to the free throw line in double-digit figures like that. So we saw the three-point attempts and makes fall off, but the free throw attempts and makes go way up for Jaylen Brown. But all in all, the last 2 games, looking like a completely different player than the guy we saw in game 1, I think. So we jump ahead here, take a look at Jaylen Brown. Do we think that he continues his hot scoring ways? Well, at 27.3 projected points, that would indicate that the projection models on Action Labs are liking Jaylen Brown to keep it going. He's at 25.5 points on most major sports books, but at 25.5, the betting public is taking the under. They do not expect Jaylen Brown to go for 26 points. They think 25 is about the most we see or less, which is fine because we're actually getting him at 24.5. So if we take the over on Brown at 24.5 and he scores 25, then we'll be all right. We're going to be all right, right? With Jaylen Brown over 24.5 points. Are you liking Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum more? Let's just ask that over their points props. If you were to take an over on one of these two guys, Tatum or Brown, who's getting your vote for an overplay on their point prop? Roy saying Tatum. Darian saying Brown. Look at that. We're already torn. Oh, another vote for Tatum. Another vote for Brown. We're 50-50 so far, chat. You guys can't decide Tatum or Brown. It's a split vote. Oh, Brown, Tatum, Tatum. Tatum's taking over. Oh, it's Brown. Oh, it's Tatum again. It's back and forth. Pretty torn here. Pretty torn between everybody in the chat. Now, Tawan is coming out of left field. Sheldon's coming out of left field saying it's Marcus Smart. The right answer is not Brown or Tatum. You're going to want to take the over on Marcus Smart's points. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe at 12.5 points, we're completely overlooking the third man here. Marcus Smart at 12.5 points. Let's take a look at Smart and see if taking the over on his points is a dumb or smart move. See what I did there? Marcus Smart. Is it wise or is it dumb to take the over on his points? Let's take a look here. He's at 12.5 throughout the playoffs so far. He is now 3 for 6, 50%. Now, I want to know what you guys are seeing in Marcus Smart's points here, because in games 1, games 2, the first 2 games that he's played, 10 points and 9 points against Milwaukee, he has not sniffed 12 or 13 points in those 2 games versus the Bucks. What has he done against Milwaukee this season through the regular season and including playoffs? Well, he's now 3 for 6, 50%. But again, has went under in the last 2 games, 10 and 9 points. Played 32.8 minutes on May the 1st. 29.2 minutes. Saw his minutes go down by about 3 on May the 7th. So for those of you that are voting for Marcus Smart here, saying, no, it's not Tatum or Brown we should be taking the over on, it's Marcus Smart. Why? Let me know in the chat. Why? Why Marcus Smart over points? Because I'm seeing him shoot the ball 11 times and only make 3, 27%. Then I'm seeing him shoot 8 times and only making 1, 13%. He is not shooting very well in this series so far. Has not had a first or second good game. From beyond the arc, 1 for 6, 17%. 1 for 4, 25%. Gets to the free throw line pretty decently. He's an okay free throw shooter, 75% so far through the first 2 games. I don't know that Marcus Smart for points is really getting me too excited. If you're looking to take the over, that is. If you're looking to take the over, I don't know that I'm getting too enthusiastic or inspired to take the over on Marcus Smart at 12.5 points. Now, any given night, this guy could find 13 points. We got him projected for 14.6 according to Action Labs. At 12.5 points, he is a betting favorite on most, if not all, sports books to go for 12 or less tonight. So I don't know that I feel too inspired by this guy. We'll make Al Horford the last one we talk about from this first game, because I'm seeing a lot of people mentioning Big Al over 11.5 points. You're not liking Tatum. Well, some of you are not liking Tatum. Some of you are not liking Brown. It looked like it was pretty split down the middle when I asked, who would you rather go over on? Jason Tatum's points or Brown's points? We were pretty split there in the chat, right? Didn't seem like we had a very good, clear, definitive answer. So maybe you hedge. Maybe you take one entry with Tatum over points, and then you take another entry with Brown over on points. I don't know, gang. Nobody knows. But let's look at Al Horford here at 11.5 points, because a lot of you are saying, this guy, he's the key. If you want to take an over on a point prop, it's going to be this guy, Big Al Horford. Well, throughout the playoffs so far at 11.5 points, he's 5 for 7 now, 71%. So we're already out of the gates with a pretty strong hit rate at 71%. I like that. Now against the Milwaukee Bucks, it's a little bit more concerning. 40% now against the Bucks, 2 for 5 this season. We've seen him last 3 games go over in 2 out of the last 3, though. So that's better. 67% in his last 3 since these playoffs have started here against Milwaukee. This series has started against the Bucks. 67%. 12, 11, and 22. Let's just take a look at his game logs here. Minutes are pretty healthy. 36, 37, and 39. We've seen his minutes go up and up and up, game over game over game. Field goal attempts, 11 in the first game, 9 in the second, but 17 field goal attempts in game 3. If we could get him at 11 or more field goal attempts in game 4 tonight, I think you'll have a really good shot at going over 11.5 points. Double-digit field goal attempts for Horford again. Do we think he shoots the ball 10 or more times tonight? If he does, I think you'll have a really, really good shot. Now, part of what really helped him out in games 1 and in games 3, 3-point field goal attempts. 9 attempts in game 1, 4 for 9, 44%. 7 for 4, or 4 for 7, I should say. 4 for 7 in game 3, 57%. So if he could get that 3 ball to drop for him, I mean, that's going to be very crucial for his success at getting over 11.5 points. He's been in a little bit of foul trouble, though, throughout these last couple of games, especially. 3 fouls in game 1, 5 in game 2, 4 in game 3. So he's got to keep his nose clean. Got to keep the fouls down. We need him out on the floor in order for him to attempt shots and hopefully make those attempts if you're planning on taking the over at 11.5. Horford now, his projection is 12.2 points, so it's not a whole lot higher than the 11.5, but I think 12 is a pretty realistic projection for him. It doesn't seem like it's too out of this world for him to score 12 points tonight. At 11.5, he is a betting favorite on a couple of the sports books out there, minus 125 betting favorite early in the day today. So, Lord De Niro, shout out to you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate everybody who's joining. I don't mind Al Horford. I like Al Horford more than Marcus Smart, dare I say. So let's pose that question. We asked about Tatum versus Brown. What about Smart versus Horford? Who would you rather take the over on their points props? You feeling better about Smart over 12.5 points or better on Horford over 11.5 points? Don't mind me, but I'm going to say Horford. I think I like Horford a little bit better over 11.5 points. Votes are already coming in. I see Roy saying Horford, Matt saying Horford, Jeremiah saying Horford all day. Ricky saying Big Al. We got Kevin saying Big Ol' Al. Brian's like an Al. Elijah's like an Al. OG Kush says Big Gay Al. Hopefully you mean gay happy, because I think Al Horford's a happily married man, so you wouldn't slander Al Horford like that, would you? Hopefully not. Michael saying Horford. Nick's on the Horford train. Chill Robots on the Horford train. Luis Pena. All right, I think it's pretty much a consensus here. You like Al Horford's points over more than you like Marcus Smart's points over. Okay. Well, thank you, OG Kush. I think Al Horford's a happy guy, too. We'll go with that. What about the Milwaukee Bucks side of things? Who are we liking from this? We've seen pretty poor hit rates as far as points props for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Drew Holiday's had himself pretty decent series so far against Boston. We got Brook Lopez out there at 11.5. Bobby Portis also sitting out there at 11.5 points. Grayson Allen, he's been a darling for us in the past. You know, he's hit his points prop for us in the past, but I don't know, man. Kind of hard to trust Grayson Allen. Sometimes he's out there running laps and not shooting and getting buckets. Roy, you're liking Giannis? Jeremiah's liking Giannis? All right, damn it. We're going to talk about the Greek Freak then. He just got snubbed for the MVP award. Is he going to come out with a big old boulder on his shoulder? Forget the chip on the shoulder. Is he going to come out with a big old boulder on his shoulder, knowing that he did not win the MVP award, that they gave it to Nikola Jokic? Will he feel some type of way? Will winning or not winning the MVP award make him feel some type of way? Maybe it will. Maybe he'll come out extra motivated, right? Let's take a look at Giannis. You guys are all about Giannis. And how could you not be? Dude's phenomenal. Fantastic player, right? Let's take a look and see what he's done at 29.5 points throughout the playoffs so far. Haven't seen a lot of consistency out of Giannis throughout 8 playoff appearances. He's 4 for 8, 50%. And in this series so far against Boston, 24 in game 1. Better game in game 2 at 28. And then a huge 42-point game. His first game at home in this series. 42 points. So maybe that's a sign of things to come. Maybe he puts on again for the Milwaukee Bucks fans. My guy sure did seem to enjoy playing in front of those Milwaukee Bucks fans in game 3. Against Boston this season at 29.5 points, he's just 2 for 6 now. 33% against the C's. So it's been tough sledding here for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's see what was the reason behind the big 42-point game the last time we saw him face off against the Celtics. Well, through the 3 playoff games, I mean, he's been at 38 minutes, 39 minutes. So the minutes have been pretty steady at 38 to 39 in that range. Field goal attempts have went up game over game over game. Game 1, 25 shots, just 9 for 25. Game 2, 27 shots, 11 for 27. Game 3, he shot 30, a whopping 30 times, 16 for 30, 53% field goal percentage. If this guy's going to continue to shoot 25 to 30 times per game, we got to kind of take the over into consideration, I think, right? I think. His 3-point attempts were also up, but he was just 1 for 6 in game 3. Streaky 3-point shooter, to say the very least. He's either at 0 or 1 against the Boston Celtics through 6 meetings against them this season. So we're not dependent on him to make a lot of threes. His free throw attempts were actually up in game 3. That was a big key to success. And not only were the attempts up, but the conversions, the makes, were also up from the charity stripe. He shot 9 for 12, 75%. So if he's going to get to the line 10 or more times and knock down 75% of his free throw attempts, he's going to hit the over on 29.5 points. That's just the way it's going to go, gang. So, yeah, Giannis at home being snubbed for the MVP tonight. Sign me up. Sign me up. I think he makes a statement tonight like, hey, you guys picked the wrong guy for that MVP award. Giannis is at 30.5 or 31.5 on every sports book out there. So we are getting 1 to 2 points of value on the Greek Freak on PrizePicks. If you don't play on PrizePicks, you should be, because you get a 100% instant deposit match with promo code Curry. You see it floating above my head. There's a link down in the description below. Get signed up for PrizePicks if you don't play on there yet. Back to Giannis. He's projected for 34.5 points. That doesn't sound unrealistic in any way. I could see him going for 34, 35 points tonight. I like the fact that we're getting the value, too, of 1 to 2 points less on PrizePicks. So I'm liking Giannis over 29.5 at home without the MVP award in his trophy collection. Giannis is going to be hungry tonight. Let the buck eat. Fear the deer. All right. No, young Lito, say it ain't so. You're telling me Giannis just got bumped to 30.5? Son of a biscuit. Well, hopefully you guys got Giannis at 29.5, but I think 30.5 is still doable. I think it's still doable for Giannis Antetokounmpo. But damn, PrizePicks be bumping. If there's one thing you could say is they are good at staying on top of their player props, is PrizePicks. As far as bumping stuff up, bumping stuff down, well, hopefully you locked in at 29.5. Who else are we liking from this Buck squad? We got Big Drew. Drewski, 20.5. We got Brook Lopez at 11.5. Bobby P. Is it time to free Bobby P at 11.5? Sheldon saying Bobby Portis. Let's take a look at Bobby Portis, Sheldon. This one's for my friend Sheldon Erling. Erling? We'll go with Sheldon for now till we get clarification on the pronunciation of your last name. Bobby Portis is at 11.5 points today. Guys, we've seen Bobby Portis do some work here, both in the Chicago series and in the Boston series. At 11.5 points, he's now 63% through 8 playoff appearances. That's 5-4-8. That's not bad. And then we take a look at what he's done against the Boston Celtics this season. He is now 6-for-7. 6-for-7, 86% against the C's. We thought maybe Robert Williams and Al Horford would kind of slow Bobby Portis down, but no, he's 2-for-3 in this series so far, 15 in game 1, 13 in game 2, but just 9 in game 3. Are we a little worried that we're starting to see a trend here for Bobby Portis? 15, down to 13, and down to 9 in the last game. Things have went shoo for Bobby Portis in the last 3 games. Do they perk back up in game 4 for Bobby P? Does the P stand for perk? Will they perk back up for Bobby Portis? I don't know. But we've seen his scoring fall off game over game over game here. 3 games in a row, he has dropped in points. A big thing that's holding Bobby Portis back is we're seeing his minutes. His minutes have deteriorated here in games 2 and games 3. Games 1, he came out of the gates with 32.5. That's a healthy minute total. But then 26 in game 2 and just 25.5 in game 3. Where are all the minutes for Bobby Portis? Guys getting 5 to 6 less minutes over the last 2 games versus game 1. Why are the minutes drying up for Bobby Portis? I don't know, but I can tell you this. When the minutes go down, so do the field goal attempts. Shot 12 times in game 1, just 7 and 9 in games 2 and 3. We got to get this guy out there playing more minutes if we feel comfortable taking the over on his points. His 3-point attempts, game 1, we're at 7. Games 2 and 3, 2 and 4. So those have definitely fallen off drastically. Free throw attempts, he's not a big free throw attempt type of guy. 2 to 3 per game. That's what it looks like. He wasn't really in foul trouble the last 2 games either. So somebody's eating up Bobby Portis' minutes. Who's eating Bobby Portis' minutes up? You guys let me know. If you know, without me looking it up. Is it Brook Lopez? Is it Serge Ibaka? I don't know that Serge Ibaka is really getting a lot of minutes. Are they going a little smaller? Playing a, more Giannis type of thing. Official Kid Chris saying it's because of this big goofy bastard right here, Brook Lopez at 11.5 points. They're saying Brook Lopez is eating into Bobby Portis's minutes. So you're saying the minutes should be up for Lopez, being that they're down for Portis? All right, let me finish up with Portis here. Let's get you a projection on Bobby P. Bobby P is projected for 14 points. That's more than 11.5, but seems a little high. Unless his minutes go up, he ain't going to get 14 points tonight. Unless he hits every shot he attempts, which is asking a lot out of the young man. It's asking a whole lot. At 11.5 points, though, not a lot of action on this prop. Pretty much even on every sports book, meaning they're not seeing a big significant bump to the over. They're not seeing a big significant bump to the under. So it's been kind of even keel, right, for Bobby P. Lewis is saying that maybe it's Pat Connaughton. Maybe it's more Pat Connaughton, more small ball for the Bucks, and so Bobby Portis is kind of getting left out in the cold. OG Kush saying blame Pat. Okay, I feel you. Well, let's look at B low. B low. Big Brook Lopez here. Some of you folks are saying, yo, Lopez. Lopez is the culprit. He's the one that's eating into Mr. Bobby Portis's output. So both of these guys, Lopez and Portis, are sitting at 11.5 points. Looking at the playoff games for Brook Lopez, at 11.5 points, he's played in 8 playoff games now. He is 4 for his last 8, 50%. Now, against Boston this season at 11.5, he is also 50%. Games 1, 6 points. Games 2, 2 points. Terrible. But game 3, he hit 13 points. Let's take a look at these minutes here. 28, 25, 29 through the first 3 games of this playoff series. So, I don't know. It's probably a combination of players. I think the right answer might be Brook Lopez and Pat Connaughton. I don't think it's just one guy who's impacting Portis directly, but, we're seeing Lopez right around 25 to 30 minutes per game through the first 3 games of this series. As far as field goal attempts go, we don't like Brook Lopez shooting just 2 times. That's not good. Not if you're wanting to take the over. That's not good for business. We need Brook Lopez shooting 7 to 10 times like we saw in games 1 and games 3. I don't know if I could trust this guy at 11.5 points. No 3-point attempts from this 7-foot shooting guard, Brook Lopez. Are you kidding me? Hasn't hit a 3 in any of the games through 3 against Boston. Hell, he's only attempted 2 combined 3-point shots through 3 games against Boston. So that's not good. Not a big free throw guy. We're not expecting him to get his points from the free throw line. So, Brook Lopez, man. You're going to have to shoot the ball a little bit more. For us to trust your points at 11.5, you're going to need to take some more shots. Brolo, 14.6 projected points. So he's right around 14 like Bobby Portis was. At 11.5, we're seeing the public not feeling so confident in Brook Lopez going for 12 or more points. They're betting the under, minus 120, minus 128. Are you riding with the public? Are you taking the under on Brook Lopez? Or are you taking the over? Or is this just going to be a fade for Brolo? Lewis is saying that this guy, Pat Connaughton, played a whopping 33 minutes last game. If Pat Connaughton's playing 30-plus minutes, 9 points? Come on, man. Unless you're doing your best Tony Snell impersonation, Pat Connaughton. If you're playing 33 minutes, I expect you to score at least 9 points. Let's take a look at Pat Connaughton. Is he the new playoff P? I mean, Paul George is sitting at home watching. Maybe Pat Connaughton's the new playoff P. Throughout the playoffs at 9 points, we've seen him hit the over in 4 out of 8 games. 50% hit rate. Not great, but not terrible. It's a coin flip type of thing. Against the Boston Celtics this season, 7 games played against the C's. He is now 4 for 7, 57%. But as we talked about in this series, he's been playing better basketball in the last 2 games. We've seen Bobby Portis' minutes go down in games 2 and 3. And by no coincidence, Pat Connaughton's points have hit in the last 2 games. So maybe Pat Connaughton is to blame after all. Maybe it's not Brook Lopez, but Pat Connaughton. Because look at Pat Connaughton's minutes in games 2 and 3. 25 and 32.8 minutes. Up from the 20 to 21 minutes he played in game one. His minutes have gone up over the last 3 games. We saw Bobby Portis's minutes going down over the last 3 games. So Connaughton's minutes trending up. Bobby Portis's minutes trending down. Pat Connaughton. That's the guy who's eating into Bobby Portis's minutes and therefore his upside when it comes to scoring. So Connaughton's minutes up over the last 3 games, game over game. 20, 25, and then 32.8 in the last game. So maybe we go back to Pat Connaughton here. His shots are also up, being that he's playing more minutes. He's bound to get more field goal opportunities, and he's making the most of them. 6 for 7 in game 2, 86%. And then he shot 10 times in game 3. 4 for 10, not a great percentage, but he also shot 8 3-pointers and went 3 for 8 from beyond the arc. So Pat Connaughton stealing Bobby Portis' shine right now. Playoff P is in full effect. Pat Connaughton, if he's going to be out there for 30-plus minutes at 9 points, I like the over. I do. Got to say it. Let's take a look at his projection. He's projected for 12.3 points. So this is 3.3 points different than where we're seeing him on PrizePicks. At 9.5, he's a betting favorite to go under 9.5 points. So I might have to stay away from Bobby Portis at 11.5. I might even have to stay away from Brook Lopez at 11.5. I might have to go with some Pat Connaughton if he's going to play 30 minutes again like he did in the last game. So this might be the guy right here. This might be the guy. Of course, nobody knows anything. So anything could happen, but looking pretty good for playoff P. Minutes are going up in the last 3 games, game over game. All right, let's move on from this Boston-Milwaukee game. Let's talk about the other game here. We got Memphis and Golden State. We finally have some Memphis Grizzlies props up on the board. Unless some miracle happens, Ja Morant's going to be out tonight. Unless a miracle happens, somebody comes down from the heavens above and touches Ja Morant and heals him, he probably will not play tonight. Which means what? Desmond Bane is going to have to step up. Dillon Brooks in that backcourt also going to have to step up. Jaren Jackson Jr. maybe less impacted by Ja Morant. But I think your prime targets are probably going to be Bane and Dillon Brooks with Ja Morant out. Let's take a look at it here. Let me refresh props.cash, see if we've got some prop lines pulling in now for the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis Golden State. Yeah, we got a few Memphis guys in here. All right. So I want to start by looking at the Memphis Grizzlies side of things because there's going to be a lot of questions. Who benefits the most with Ja Morant out of the lineup? Ja has missed some games this season, so we should have a pretty decent sample size of what happens. What happens to the Memphis Grizzlies when Ja Morant's out of there and then these other guys, Bane, Brooks, etc., get more minutes? Who steps up in place of Ja Morant? I mean, that's going to be a popular question today, right? We're looking for value. We're looking to unearth a diamond in the rough. And maybe we can find that together. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's start with Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane. Now he's at 17.5 by default on props.cash, but we're getting him at 18.5 here on PrizePicks. So we've got to bump this guy up to 18.5. All right, let's go to the season view, which I love about props.cash. Full season view for Desmond Bane. And then we're going to go games without. We're going to go find Ja Morant. It is sorted alphabetically by last name. So you go down to the M's. Take Ja Morant out. Desmond Bane at 18.5 points. 65% hit rate at 18.5 points. 15 out of 23 this season without Ja Morant. Averaging 19 points per game without Ja. The last 10 games that he played without Morant, 20.4 points per game on average. The last 5 games, 19. And against Golden State, he's actually played Golden State one time without Ja. And in that game, he had 22 points. So I think Desmond Bane probably going to be top of the list here for guys to think about taking with Ja Morant out of the lineup tonight. Not too shabby, right? Now this game will be played in Golden State, so we could take this a step further. We're looking at games played without Ja Morant, right? Well, now let's take a look at games played without Ja Morant on the road and see if Desmond Bane scores better or worse without Ja on the road or at home. Looking at the splits. That's what they call the splits, gang. 18.5 points. He's 55% without Ja this season. 55% at home without Ja this season. When we go away at 18.5 points, 75% hit rate for Desmond Bane on the road without Ja Morant, 9 out of 12. Better score on the road. He is on the road in Golden State tonight without Ja Morant. So at 18.5 points, 9 for 12, 75% hit rate, I think we take a shot on the over on Desmond Bane at 18.5 points. What are we thinking, gang? All I can do is present the facts. All I can do is present the numbers for you. 12 games played without Ja. On the road, 18.5 points, he's 9 for 12, 75%. 75% hit rate. I think we just have to take a shot. I mean, that's pretty good. If we don't take his points, what else are we taking for Bane? Are his assists up? 2.5. We could look at the assists. 50% hit rate on the road without Ja Morant. So the points, 75%. The assists, 50%. If you don't like Desmond Bane for his assists, maybe you like him for his rebounds at 4.5. Let's look at him. 4.5 rebounds on the road without Ja Morant, 8 for 12, 67%. So the points still have the highest hit rate. If you don't want to go there, do you want to go PRA maybe at 25.5? We could look at that. 75% hit rate on his PRA as well. So his PRA and his points are both 75% without Ja Morant on the road. So those are your highest hitters right there. As far as hit rates go, points or PRA are leading the way for Desmond Bane. So there you go. It's a little bit of insight for you. Maybe you go points, maybe you go PRA for Desmond Bane. Let's go back to his points and get you a projection. Again, he's at 18.5 today. Projected for 22.7. He's at 17.5 on most sites, 18.5 on some others. So 17.5 to 18.5 on the books today. And projected for 22.7. So let me know. Over or under on Desmond Bane at 18.5. What are we thinking? All right. So we talked about Bane. What about these other Grizzlies guys? We got Triple J at 15.5. We got Dillon Brooks at 17.5. I kind of want to talk about Brooks. I think these guards are going to be the ones that are going to be most impacted with Ja Morant's absence tonight. So let's talk about Dillon Brooks here. He is sitting at 17.5 today. 17.5. So let's look at the season view first and foremost. At 17.5 points, 57% hit rate. When we take Ja Morant out, what happens to the hit rate here? So he is 13 for 20. 65% hit rate overall without Ja Morant. Averaging 19.1 points per game in games without Ja Morant this season. 19.3 in his last 10 games without Ja. Last 5 games, 20.6 points. And he has also played Golden State once without Ja. He scored 21. So both he and Bane went over their points props in that one game back at the end of March without Ja Morant. So they're both 1 for 1 without Ja against Golden State. Now, kind of like we did for Desmond Bane, we're also going to look at the splits for Dillon Brooks. At home without Ja Morant, 80% hit rate. That's huge. But again, he's not playing at home tonight. He is playing in Cali, Golden State. He is on the road. On the road, the hit rates drop off quite a bit. 50%, just 5 for 10. So if he was playing without Ja in Memphis tonight, I'd say yes, sign me up. But the fact that he's playing on the road doesn't look so good. So I would say that Dillon Brooks scores better at home, while Desmond Bane seems to score better on the road. So for that reason, I'd probably lean toward taking the over on Desmond Bane at 18.5 points, more than Dillon Brooks. What are you guys thinking? Who are you trusting more for points, Bane or Brooks? Getting a little bit of a, we'll call it discount, 17.5 for Brooks, 18.5 for Bane. So Brooks has the easier time here. He's only got to score 18, where Bane's got to score 19. Yanni's saying Bane, locked for sure. Drewski, he's liking Bane better. Jeremiah's liking Bane better. JB Merckx is also liking Bane. Ricky Carroll's going to take a shot on Bane as well. Well, if you're not liking Brooks for points, is there another category where Brooks excels better when Ja Morant's not in the lineup? Let's take a look at it. So we talked about his points at 17.5. What about his rebounds at 3? Do his rebounds get better without Ja Morant? Let's take a look. At 3 rebounds, he's played 20 games, right? At 3 rebounds or better, he's hit this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 out of 20 games without Ja Morant. That's not too shabby. 14 out of 20 is not bad at all at 3 boards. So maybe take a shot on Dillon Brooks at 3 rebounds. I would probably lean toward the over in this case. That's not bad. What about his assists at 2.5? Maybe that's the move. Let's take a look at those. 2.5 assists, just a 40% hit rate without Ja Morant. That's 8 for 20. That's not looking too good. So far for me, it's probably going to be the rebounds being my favorite way to play Dillon Brooks if you want to take the over. What about his 3-point makes? He's at 1.5. We talked about his issues with scoring on the road. His 3-point makes at 1.5, he's 45%, 9 for 20. That's not looking too sexy. And then his PRA is sitting at 24.5. We could also take a quick glance at that. He's 11 for 20, 55%. So I would say for me, we take a shot at the rebounds on Dillon Brooks at 3. I think that's the best way to go. What did we say? 14 for 20 on hitting 3 or more boards. Maybe that's the route we take on Brooks. So anyway, going back to his points at 17.5, we'll get you a projection on those. He's projected for 18.3. The betting public's taking him over 17.5, minus 125, minus 130. Look, I don't think it's impossible for him to hit the over at 17.5 points against Golden State. Both he and Bane hit their overs in the one game at the end of March without Ja Morant versus Golden State. They both hit the overs on their points prop. I don't think it's impossible for Brooks to do it. I'm just simply pointing out he seems to hit his points prop better at home than he does on the road. And Brooks, Bane rather, is the other way around. He scores better on the road than he does at home. So there you have it. Dillon Brooks points. What about the Golden State Warriors side? What are you guys liking from the Dubs side of things for points? Before we move on to assists or rebounds or any of that. Anybody from Golden State, points-wise, that you're liking? Curry? Hard to argue against Curry. Lewis is saying it's another pool party type of night for the Dubs. A lot of Curry and a lot of Poole love. Well, without Ja, you got to imagine that Curry and Poole probably going to have a little bit of an easier time. Is that fair to say? They won't have to probably exert as much energy on the defensive end trying to guard and contain Ja Morant. So I think both of these guys should be a little bit fresher on the offensive side of things, being that they're not going to have to lock horns with Ja Morant tonight. It's going to be Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones, Dillon Brooks in the backcourt for Memphis. So they won't completely get the night off or anything like that, but a lot easier time for these guys on the defensive end. Maybe that leads to better offensive output for both of these dudes. So let's start off with Curry. Me being a fellow Curry, of course, you knew I was going to pick Steph Curry, right? So taking a look at his points here throughout the playoffs. Just looking at this season at 26.5, my man Steph Curry is now a 6 for 8, 75% hitter at 26.5 points. Through 8 playoff games, he has hit the over in 6 out of 8, 75%. So that's very good. That is a very good look. Now against Memphis this season at 26.5 points, he has now hit the over on his points prop in 5 out of 6 games, 83%. So I'm thinking, kind of like you're thinking, Steph Curry at 26.5 it's looking like a good move, right? 5 for 6 against Memphis this season. He's only missed his points prop twice throughout the playoffs. And if you want to count, I mean, this was his first game back, right, after missing time. We could even throw that one away if you want to and say, hey, this guy's really only missed his points prop one time. We could kind of trash that first game against Denver. He was still knocking the rust off. But yeah, I like Curry tonight. I think that's a good look. He's projected for 28.6 points at 26.5 out on the books. He's a betting favorite to go over, but we're seeing him at 27.5 on some sports books as well. At 27.5, a little more hesitant is the betting public to take the over, so they're betting it under at 27.5. So between 26.5 and 27.5 lies 27 points. If he scores 27 and we take the over at 26.5, we're fine with that. But yeah, Curry's been hitting his points prop very well in the playoffs and very well against the Memphis Grizzlies. Shout out to David for the super chat. I appreciate you, David. Thank you so much for showing your support through the super chat. I see my man Silly Goose saying everyone liked the video or pool won't go off. You're wanting to put that good energy and good karma into the air, aren't you, Mr. Silly Goose 41? I don't blame you. Put the good energy, the good vibes into the air and get it back through Jordan Poole's points prop. I feel you. I like that strategy. It sounds good. Hit the like and then you'll hit your props. It's pretty easy, right? Why wouldn't you do that? Jordan Poole's at 20.5 points. 20.5 points. So behind Steph Curry, you guys are liking Jordan Poole. Sounds like it's going to be a Curry and Poole kind of night once again. Jordan Poole not hitting quite as well as big brother Steph Curry. Throughout the playoffs, he is 5 for 8, 63%, though. That's not bad, right? That's not terrible. We'll take 63%. We know what this kid's capable of. He could pop off any given time, any given night, any given moment. He is now 3 for 6 throughout 6 meetings against the Memphis Grizzlies. He has hit the over in 3 out of his last 4, by the way. Since March 28th, he's been cooking the Grizzlies up. Eating on some bear meat, all right, is Jordan Poole. So that's not bad. 3 for his last 4, 75% in his last 4 against Memphis. Minutes are pretty stable. They're kind of all over the place. He started off 37 minutes in game 1. He has seen his minutes dip game over game over game in the last 3. So there's a little concern about his minutes. You'd like to see him back up to 35 to 40 minutes. Right now, he's probably more in that 30 to 35 minute range, down on the lower end of the 30 minute range. So hopefully Poole's minutes perk back up here. When the minutes go down, so do the field goal attempts. 20 shots in game 1, just 16 and 17. I say just 16 and 17. That's still a healthy amount of shots. That's still plenty of opportunities for him to hit the over on 20.5 points. But I like him better up there around 20 shots, right? The three-point attempts have definitely fallen off of a cliff too since game 1. He shot 10 in game 1, just 6 and 5 in games 2 and 3. So kind of hard to trust the opportunities for Jordan Poole right now. Not really getting to the free throw line very well in this series. Just 2 or 3 free throw attempts as well. So a little bit of inconsistency here for Poole. Unlike Curry, Curry's pretty steady, even-keeled veteran player. Poole, some fluctuations in minutes and therefore fluctuations in field goal attempts, three-point attempts, etc. So that's usually the hallmark of a young player. trying to find that stability, that consistency from one game to the next. It's easy to have one big game and then fall off for 2 or 3 games and then come back around, right? The hard thing to do is be consistent and have those great games night in and night out every single game, right? And that's going to be the evolution for Jordan Poole, being a more consistent player as he matures in his NBA career. But anyway, he is projected for 22 points today, which is more than 20.5. At 20.5, the public is taking the over on 20.5 points. So hopefully he gets more around 35 minutes tonight. If he does, then I think he hits the over on 20.5. But I do like Curry a little bit better, just more consistent veteran. So, all right. Let's move on from the points. Let's talk about some assists. Is there any assist props that you guys are really feeling tonight? We'll start it off with the Eastern Conference game, Boston-Milwaukee. Think about what assist props you're considering tonight. And while you're thinking about that, assist me by hitting that like button if you haven't yet. Appreciate all the love. Jeff says he's fading Jordan Poole. He's not starting, and if it's a blowout, he's not going to close the game. Okay, respect. Let's see here. Everyday fantasy, he's liking Horford from that first game, over 3 assists. He's now 3 for 3 in this series. You're liking the over on Big Al Horford. Let's take a look at it. Let's go Big Al Horford here at 3 assists. So that means at 3 assists, he's either been bumped up or he's been bumped down. Either bumped up from 2.5 or bumped down against the books from 3.5. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of this here. First and foremost, in the playoffs so far, he has now hit 3 assists or more in 4 out of 7 games. 4 for 7 at 3 assists or better. Now, to Everyday Fantasy's point, Al Horford at 3 assists since this series against the Milwaukee Bucks has hit 3 assists or more in all 3 games. 3 in game 1, 3 in game 2, and 5 in game 3. Now, if we go back and look at the previous matchups against Milwaukee, technically, Al Horford at 3 assists or better is now 5 for 5 against the Milwaukee Bucks this season. So, tremendous hit rates. He's averaging 4 assists per game against the Deer. 4 assists per game against the Deer. So I like it, man. 3 for 3 in the series at 3 or better. 5 for 5 against Milwaukee at 3 or better. That's looking pretty good to me. I think that's one we could go ahead and throw in our entries tonight. Let's get you a projection here. Al Horford projected for 4 assists. That's 1 whole assist higher than the 3 number. And then at 3.5, the public, they are smashing the under at 3.5, which is why we get them at 3 on PrizePicks. Minus 135, minus 152 on some of these books. So Everyday Fantasy, to answer your question, my friend, I think you're onto something here with Al Horford at 3 assists. I would lean toward the over. Could it tie? Could it push? Absolutely, it could. But I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at all on a tie or a push. Zizcat, am I saying your name right? Zizcat Brown, Jaylen Brown at 4 assists. You're liking him? Are you liking him over or under, though? You got to let me know. Let me know which way you're leaning on this prop. But Jaylen Brown at 4 assists, we could definitely take a look at that one. If you're not liking Al Horford, which I don't know why you wouldn't, at least take a shot on 3 assists on the over. Maybe you go this guy, Jaylen Brown at 4 assists. He, just like Al Horford, has hit 4 or more assists in every game in this series against the Milwaukee Bucks so far. If we take a look at the entire playoff picture here, he's now played in a total of, 7 games? And he's hit 4 assists or more in 5 out of 7. So 5 for 7 is pretty darn good. 5 for 7 is not terrible at all. We'll take that. Against the Milwaukee Bucks this season, he's hit 4 or more assists now in 5 out of 6 games. So he's right there with Al Horford. Seems to do a pretty good job at dropping dimes against the Milwaukee Bucks. So I like Al Horford. I also like Jaylen Brown. Would I put them in the same entry? I don't know if I'd put them in the same entry. Maybe you split them up. You put one in one entry, one in the other. But Jaylen Brown's projected assist tonight. We talked about Al Horford being projected for 4. Jaylen Brown's projected for 4.4. He's at 4.5 on the books, but big betting favorite to go under 4.5. They like him to stay at 4 or less. Minus 160 and minus 159 to stay under 4.5 assists. So, Horford and Brown both looking pretty darn good here. What other assist props from this Milwaukee-Boston game is standing out to you? I see Mr. Tony Ruiz mentioning this guy, Jason Tatum. You guys are saying that Jason Tatum cannot be trusted to score. So we know he's going to be out on the court for about 40 minutes a game. If he's not out there scoring, does that mean he's going to be out there assisting others in scoring? Perhaps. Perhaps that's the better way to play Jason Tatum. You fade the points and you take the assists. Let's look at him at 5.5 dimes. Throughout the playoffs so far at 5.5, 5 for 7, 71% hit rate. He was 3 for 4 against Brooklyn. He is now 2 for 3 against Milwaukee. He's coming off of a down game in terms of assists, just 3 assists. He had himself a pretty terrible game overall against Milwaukee in game 3. The points weren't there. The assists weren't there. Something's going to pop back up here. Whether it be his points or his assists, like he's going to return back to his averages of about 5 to 6 assists tonight. It's just going to happen. It's got to happen, right? You'd think. But against Milwaukee this season, against these Bucks, he is now 2 for 6, 33% at going over 5.5 assists. So not the greatest hit rates against the Bucks this season at 5.5 dimes. Taking a look at a projection for Jason Tatum, projected for exactly 5.5. He is a betting favorite to go over 5.5. According to the public, they like the over. They like him going for 6 or more dimes. Minus 125, minus 130. For me, I think I still favor Horford and Brown a little bit more at 3 and 4 assists respectively. I still favor them a little bit more. So that's probably the ones that I would take over Jason Tatum. Tatum could get it done. He could pop back after a bad game 3. Not impossible. Anybody from the Milwaukee side that you guys are liking for the assists? You got Giannis at 7. Drew Holiday at 6.5. Those are really your only 2 options. Are you taking either one of these Bucks for the assist prop? Christian, I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100%. Boston has to win tonight. I mean, you don't want to go down 3-1 to the Milwaukee Bucks. That just ain't good for you. Boston's going to have to figure this one out. They're going to have to win tonight, or else it's likely lights out for the Celtics. All right, Jeremiah, we'll cover Giannis at 7 assists, and then we'll move on and talk about the late game and look at those assists. We talked about Giannis kind of getting snubbed, I guess you could say, for the MVP award. In case you missed it, Nikola Jokic is your MVP this season. It was announced earlier today, I believe. His second MVP award of his career. Nikola Jokic, just a big baller, man. Big old baller. Now, Giannis probably has taken wind of that announcement. And I think he's going to come out looking to unleash rage against the Boston Celtics tonight. I think Giannis has a really good game tonight. That's what I'd like to believe. Anyway, in the playoffs this season, he is now 6 for 8 at 7 assists or better. So 6 out of 8 is pretty darn good. He's typically, more often than not, finding at least 7 assists throughout the playoffs. Against the Boston Celtics this season, he is now 3 for 6, 50% hit rate at 7 assists or better. We've seen him cover 7 or more assists in 3 straight games against the Boston Celtics. So he's been Mr. Do Everything, right? The Swiss Army knife of the Milwaukee Bucks. A premium Swiss Army knife, okay? 12 assists in game 1, 7 in game 2, and then 8 in game 3. So if you wanted to take the assist on Giannis, Hey, I'm not going to stop you. At 6.5 assists out on the sports books, he's a minus 155 to go over, but we're also seeing him at 7.5 on other books, minus 155 to go under. Between 6.5 and 7.5 lies 7 assists. So very good chance that this could push. Based on what we're seeing on the sports books, it looks like it could be a tie. Darian says, do you remember when Giannis was at 3.5 assists? What was that, his rookie season or something? No, I don't remember that. When was that? I don't remember him ever being at 3.5 assists this season. Are you talking about this season? He was at 3.5 assists? I'd like to freeze or lock in him at 3.5 assists. That ship has sailed. If he was at 3.5 assists, he's not at 3.5 anymore. All right, what about this late game? We talked about Curry for points. You got him up at 6.5 dimes. You got Clay sitting out there at 2.5. Wiggins at 1.5. You got Dre at 7. Jordan Poole at 4.5. I don't remember Giannis being 3.5 assists. That's crazy, though. And then over on the Memphis Grizzlies side, we talked about Bane and we talked about Brooks. Maybe one of those guys hit their assist prop, but from what I looked at, didn't look like a way that I really wanted to go. Tyus Jones is probably going to be leading the Memphis Grizzlies in assists tonight. But we don't have him up on the board yet. But I bet you we will by the time this game gets closer to tip-off. Jeremiah, you're liking Dre at 7? Guaps, we're going to take a look at those threes. We're kind of just moving through the board. So we've talked about points. We're on assists. We're going to go rebounds, PRA, threes, etc., etc. So if you got questions on some of them other props, we're definitely going to take a look at them. But not yet. Let's talk about Draymond, though, at 7 assists real quick. Then we'll move on to some rebounds. Draymond Green, one of the better passing power forwards in the NBA, right? I think he is. How could his assists not be always in play when you got the likes of Curry, Clay, Poole, Wiggins around you, right? Like, this guy's gonna be in the mix for 7, 8, even upwards of 10 assists per game. Now, throughout the playoffs, he has hit 7 or more assists in 4 out of 8, so 50% at 7 or better. In this series so far, he is now 2 for 3 at 7 or better. Against the Memphis Grizzlies, he's hit 7 or more in 4 out of 5. So does a pretty good job when it comes to dropping dimes against the Memphis Grizzlies based on the last 5 games against Memphis. Jumping ahead here, we're taking a look at Green. A healthy projection of 8.5 dimes for him. Now he's at 7.5 out on your sports books. At 7.5, they're betting the under, minus 150, minus 148, which is why we're getting him at 7 instead of 7.5. A lot of action, a lot of juice coming in under 7.5. So Dre for 7 or more against Memphis could be a good bet. Could be a good look. Let's see. Elijah, you're liking some Clay for 2.5? All right. Let's talk about Clay for 2.5 dimes, and then we're going to move on to some rebounds. You're liking Clay over 2.5 assists? You didn't really say, did you? I don't think you really said. You just said Clay assists. You don't know which way you want to go yet. All right, let's look at it. Klay Thompson has now hit the over on 2.5 assists in 4 straight playoff games. Now, against Denver, he was not dropping dimes very well. 2 in game 1, 1 and 0 in the following 3 games. But yeah, ever since that last game, that closeout game against Denver, we've seen Klay Thompson on a little bit of a hit streak here at 3 assists or better. 4 straight now. And against Memphis this season, he has played these guys 4 times. He's now hit the over on 2.5 assists in every game against the Grizzlies. He's now 4 for 4, 100%, including a 4 assist game the last time these two teams met. So hard to not like Klay Thompson at 2.5 dimes against Memphis, being that he just continues to hit every time he faces the Grizzlies. Now, all good things must come to an end. Eventually, Klay will probably let you down and break your heart. But I think you just keep riding. Keep riding the Klay Thompson over 2.5 assist prop until the wheels fall off. He's projected for 3.4, so that's encouraging. He is also being bet over 2.5 assists on a site like BetMGM, minus 130 to go over. So quietly, Klay Thompson putting together a nice little hit streak, both against Memphis and in the playoffs. 4 straight now. Against Memphis, 4 straight in his last 4 playoff games. So I don't mind that one. All right, let's move ahead. Let's talk some rebounds. We've talked a lot, guys. We have talked a lot so far. But as you can see, I'm dedicated to helping you win. I'm dedicated to finding some winning props. So hopefully you're taking notes. Hopefully you're taking notice of my dedication to help you guys win. Let's look at the rebound props. Who are we liking from Boston, Milwaukee? We start with the early game. We'll go to the late game in just a moment. But let's focus on this one. Celtics, Bucks. What are we liking here? Darian's already dropping Al Horford rebounds. So we've already talked Al Horford for points. I think we've also talked Al Horford for assists. And now we're talking about Al Horford for rebounds. Does that mean Al Horford should be a consideration for PRA as well? Now that we've talked about the points, the assists, and the rebounds, I think maybe we talk Al Horford for PRA. This is the 3rd time he's come up today in each of these categories. So that could be another way to go. Al Horford either for PRA or for fantasy score. Could be a move, right? But let's focus on these rebounds for now. He's at 8.5. Let's see what Big Al's been up to. We talked about how well his assists have been hitting. Thanks to Everyday Fantasy for pointing that one out. Now, Al Horford throughout the playoffs at 8.5 rebounds is 4 for 7, 57%. Had some shaky games in that Brooklyn series, was just 1 for 4 against Brooklyn, but since this series against Milwaukee has started, he's been a whole new man. 3 straight games now with double-digit rebounds. 10 boards in Game 1. Comes back with 11 in Game 2. Follows that up with an impressive 16 rebounds in Game 3. So we talked about Al Horford's minutes have also slowly started to climb game over game for the last 3 games. 36, 37, and then 39 minutes in the last one. So if he's going to stay right up there around 40 minutes, then he should have a very good opportunity to find at least 9 rebounds. Especially with the Bucks going small ball, right? Maybe them going small ball and playing more Pat Connaughton was a factor for Al Horford pulling in 16 rebounds. Less Bobby Portis on the floor, more Pat Connaughton equals more rebounds for Al Horford? I'm no mathematical genius. But maybe that happened. Maybe that was the reason Al Horford found 16 rebounds in Game 3. Less Bobby P on the floor, more of a smaller guy like Pat, led to more rebounds for Al Horford. I don't know. I'm just putting together little equations here. Cause and effect type of things. Let's move forward here. We'll get you a projection on Big Al. Horford is projected for a 9.1 rebound output. He's at 9.5 out on your sports books now. At 9.5, they are betting the under minus 150. But he's also at 8.5 on some books. And then 8.5 rebounds, they're betting the over at minus 143. So Al Horford, I'll take a shot on Horford at 8.5 boards. I think he should probably be at 9 rebounds, to be honest. But we'll take the 8.5, won't we? I think we should. What else? What other rebound props? Lopez, bankroll re. You're liking some bro low for boards? Bro low for boards? All right. He's at 6. His minutes, pretty consistent so far. Pretty consistent. Let's take a look at Brook Lopez real quick. He's at a even, smooth, not smooth, smooth. Brook Lopez is at a smooth 6 rebounds right now. Smooth. All right. When we look at 6 rebounds using props.cash, we bump them up to 6. You see a couple of those bars that were green at 5.5 now turn gray at 6, meaning he tied or pushed in those games. Going back to the Chicago series, he was just 1 for 5 in that series at 6 or more boards. But since this series has started, much like Al Horford, Lopez is rebounding a lot better in this series than he was in the previous series. Now we take a look at what he's done against Boston. Has now played the Boston Celtics 4 times. Has hit 6 or more rebounds against Boston 4 times as well. So I think we gotta keep going back to the over, right, on Brook Lopez at 6 rebounds. He's either going to tie or go over according to the last 4 games that we've seen against the Celtics. So I don't mind Lopez rebounds here. He's projected for about 5.9. We could go ahead and round that sucker up and call it 6. And then at 5.5, the public loving the over, -160 over 5.5. So if you want to take a rebound prop from the Bucks, Brolo could be a good look. Any other rebounds that we are liking from this game? I mean, Big Al's looking nice. Brolo's looking nice. Otherwise, we could just jump to the next game. Jeremiah is saying Pat Connaughton over rebounds. We talked about Connaughton's minutes are up. Meanwhile, Bobby Portis's minutes are down. So with Connaughton out there for 30-plus minutes tonight, potentially, really athletic guy. He's a volleyball guy. I don't know if you guys knew that. I think Pat Connaughton's a volleyball player as well. My man's got springs. He's got ups. So he should be up there pulling some rebounds down, using all that athleticism that he's got. Let's take a look at Pat Connaughton real quick for rebounds. Hopefully he's not Pat the con man Connaughton and sells us a bag of goods that we don't want, right? Hopefully he's not a con man. Hopefully Pat Connaughton is Playoff P, his new nickname that I have blessed him with today. Now, throughout the playoffs, 3.5 rebounds, he's hitting this number more often than not. 5 for 8, 63% so far throughout the playoff series against Chicago and Boston. Against Boston, has now faced the Celtics 7 times. He is 5 for 7, 71%. The last 3 games, all of which are from this series, he is hitting 2 out of 3, so 67% against Boston in this series. So if his minutes, again, are going to be at 30 or more, you could see what he does when he gets big minutes. Pulled in 8 rebounds in that last game, playing 33 minutes, 32.8 minutes. So if he's going to keep getting 30-plus minutes like he did in the last game, let's fire Pat Connaughton up for the overs tonight, the points, the rebounds, etc. Now, we won't know for sure how many minutes Pat Connaughton's going to get. So nothing is a lock, okay? There's always risk involved. Who knows what Budenholzer's going to do? But he's projected for 5.1 rebounds today, which is a lot more than 3.5. And the public's liking the rebounds as well. -140 to go over at 3.5. So there you go. Patty C. All right, let's move on from this game. Let's look at some rebounds from Golden State Memphis. Any of these Golden State Memphis guys standing out to you for rebounds? Skyler, what's up? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you checking in. Triple J for 7 boards. You guys are liking that one? Let's peep game. Let's see what happens here with Jaren Jackson Jr. We're getting him at 7, which means he's either been bumped up from 6.5 on the books or bumped down from 7.5 on the books. Steven Adams continues to be a non-factor throughout the playoffs. Poor guy. In his absence, we've seen Jaren Jackson Jr. pull in 7 or more rebounds on 5 out of 9 appearances in the playoffs. 5 for 9 at 7 or better. Now against Golden State, does a decent job, has done a decent job this season. 7 or more rebounds in 4 out of 6 games. That's not terrible. Let's do what we did with some of these other players, right? With Ja Morant out. So with Morant out, 28% hit rate. I'm sorry, with Morant in. Overall, Jaren Jackson Jr. at 7 rebounds, 28% hit rate. Now let's take Ja Morant out and see if that impacts our guys' hit rates at all. He has now played a total of 21 games without Ja. He's hit 7 or more rebounds in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 21 games without Ja. Not a very good hit rate for his rebounds without Ja Morant. Not good at all. Anyways, jumping ahead, looking at Jaren Jackson Jr., he's projected for 6.6 rebounds. The betting public likes him to go over 6.5, minus 155 to go over 6.5. There you go. What's your picks? Well, are you asking me, Glitch, or are you asking the people in the chat? Because I don't have any NBA picks in. This is my first look at anything related to NBA player props. I look at this for the first time with you guys live on stream. I don't have any NBA picks locked, but we have uncovered what I think are some good looks nonetheless. Can I look up Tyus Jones even though he's not up yet? Let me refresh. I don't know if they've got any projections for Tyus Jones yet. Let's look though. No, they don't. No projections on Fantasy Labs, Action Labs for Tyus Jones just yet. But I'd imagine they'll have some down, later on in the day, probably. All right, any other rebound props from this Golden State-Memphis game that you guys are liking? We already talked Jaren Jackson Jr. Haven't really talked about anybody else, though. We can move on, though, if you want. Siscat says that Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be fouling out. The game's going to be too fast for him tonight. Okay. Busy Brown says, fade Pat Connaughton. Do we think Pat Connaughton's minutes are going down, Busy? Why the fade? Why the fade? We want to know why the fade. All right, let's move ahead. Let's talk some PRA. Any PRA props that you guys are really, really liking? I mean, Al Horford, we've talked about him every single prop category so far, points, assists, rebounds. So, of course, he'll probably be out there as a PRA play. He'll probably be out there as a PRA play. Grant Williams for PRA is being mentioned quite a bit. Jeff, you're liking the over on Grant Williams? Well, we haven't talked about Grant Williams for anything yet, so I think now would be a great time to talk about Grant Williams. Grant Williams, is he like the Bruce Brown of the Boston Celtics? Is that a fair comparison as far as his role on the team? Remember we were hitting, at least I was hitting. I was playing those Bruce Brown PRA props for a while. I was riding that prop until the wheels fall off. But Grant Williams at 14.5 rebound, or 14.5 PRA, I should say. Let's bump this sucker all the way down to 14.5. 4 for 7 this season in the playoffs. 57% hit rate. 4 for 7 at a 57% hit rate. That's just in the playoffs. Taking a look against the Milwaukee Bucks at 14.5 PRA, he is at 3 for 6. 3 for 6. 2 for 3 in this series. The last 2 games have been particularly good for Grant Williams PRA. 28 PRA in game 2, 17 PRA in game 3. So he's got himself like a 67% hit rate. Let's take a look at a projection for Grant Williams here. You guys are expecting big things from Grant Williams. A lot of you guys are on Grant Williams points plus rebounds, plus assists. He's projected for 16.5. He's a betting favorite, minus 120, over 14.5. So there you go. Grant Williams PRA. Any other PRA? Well, yeah, Ziscat, like you said, Al Horford. I mean, we've talked about Al Horford for every category imaginable. So points, rebounds, and assists have been discussed individually for Al Horford. What about his PRA? When we combine them all, do we like Horford PRA maybe? Let's take a look. We're getting him at 23.5 today on PrizePicks. Throughout the playoffs now, he is 5 for 7, 71% for his PRA prop at 23.5. I like 71%. That's a pretty strong, healthy hit rate. 5 for 7 in his playoff games. Against the Milwaukee Bucks now at 23.5 this season, he has hit in 3 out of 5. All 3 came in this current playoff series. 25 in game 1, 25 in game 2. So you were probably sweating it out in games 1 and 2. Games 3, he took care of business pretty easily there with 43 PRA. Crushed his line at 23.5. So 3 for 3 is Al Horford on his PRA prop. He's projected for a 25.2 PRA. He's out on the books at 24.5. So, you know, getting a point of PRA value here, but they're betting the under. Slight betting favor to go under 24.5. Yep. A lot of Grant Williams PRA love. I feel you. So there you go. Anybody from the later game that you guys are liking for PRA? Warriors, Grizzlies? Going once, going twice. Warriors, Grizzlies, PRA. Draymond? Game on for Draymond. Let's talk about Draymond Green, and then we'll move on from the PRAs. But at first glance, I looked at that 22.5 for Dre, and I was like, dang, that seems kind of nice. 22.5, but then you go look at the game logs throughout the playoffs so far, and he's just 3 for 8, 38%. Kind of ugly, right? Against Memphis at 22.5 PRA, he's just now 2 for 5, 40%. Kind of ugly, right? It's not looking great. But when I first looked at the 22.5, I was like, dang, this looks kind of nice, man. 22.5 seems doable, but then I started looking into it a little bit more, and I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I don't know. He's projected for 26.1 PRA. He's at 22.5 out on the sports book. So we're not getting any value on this prop. It's right in line with all the sports books at 22.5 on PrizePicks. He is a betting favorite to go over, though, at 22.5. Seeing some love for Wiggins PRA. Really, really, really. 23.5? Huh. Let's look at that. Let's look at this guy. Andrew Wiggins, 23.5. What are we liking about him? Bump him down to 23.5. He's 4 for 8 in the playoff, 50%. But is also 2 for 3 in this series against Memphis. But he's only covered in 2 out of 6 games against the Grizzlies. So what are we thinking? Andrew Wiggins over or under 23.5? Because I'm just not seeing enough there to make me feel great about this guy. He's kind of inconsistent. I mean, shoot, he's like the 4th or 5th option, which is kind of crazy to say, right? Andrew Wiggins, a 4th option. He is projected, though, for 24.3 PRA. And he's a betting favorite to go over at 23.5. I see a couple of y'all are asking about JP. Wanting to go on a pool party once again. 29.5 PRA for Jordan Poole. Let's make that one the last one, and we'll move on from some of these PRA plays. So Jordan Poole in the playoffs so far, 29.5, has covered in 5 out of 8, 63%. It's not terrible. What about against Memphis this season at 29.5, 3 for 6 against Memphis? So kind of like his points prop, he's 3 out of his last 4 covering PRA. So that could be a move. We'll jump ahead here. We'll take a look at a projection for Poole. 31 projected points, rebounds, and assists. But you're not seeing the betting public touching this prop. They're not betting it over or under. So, yeah, I think as far as Bane goes, I like the points and the PRA for Bane. I think they both had a 75% hit rate in games without Ja Morant played on the road. So, Bane for points, Bane for PRA, both good looks. Both a good look. Anyway, let's run through these last few prop categories here. Appreciate everybody who's joining me. Gosh, we're already an hour and 50 minutes into the stream. 3-point props. I think Jason Tatum's done a pretty good job at 3.5, if I'm not mistaken. He's been a pretty good one. Brook Lopez has not been good at hitting threes in this series or in his last few playoff games. He's been going under at that 0.5 3-point prop. Who are you guys liking, though, from the Celtics Bucks for 3-point makes? Let's just take a look at some of these hit rates here for these two teams. You got Jason Tatum at 3.5, 78% hit rate in his last 9 against Milwaukee. Jaylen Brown at 2.5, 67% hit rate in his last 9 against Milwaukee. Al Horford at 1.5, 60% in his last 5. Brolo against the Celtics at 0.5, 57% hit rate in his last 7. Been hard to trust Grayson Allen lately, but at 1.5 3-point makes against the Celtics, 56% out of his last 9. So I think your leading candidates are going to probably be Tatum, JB. Jeremiah says, Tatum failed me last game. Well, that's the best time to go back to the prop, buddy. You run that sucker back. When a guy fails you, you go back to him the very next game. And if he fails you again, well, then you're all in the third game. He's definitely not going to fail you 3 games in a row. Come on, don't you know how this game works? If a guy sells you in 1 game, you definitely go back game 2. If he sells you again, bet the house the 3rd time, all right? And if he sells you the 3rd time, well, guess what? You're broke. You're broke, and then you're out on the streets. That's the rules, though. You go back to it after it flops. Let's start by looking at Jaylen Brown here at 2.5 3-point makes. Come on. Can't give up after he sells you 1 game. He's going to come back and hit tonight. You're going to be like, damn, I should have played him. I picked him on the wrong night. But yeah, Jaylen Brown, 2.5 3-point makes, just 29%. You guys wanting to go over on this guy at 2.5. Is that what you're telling me? 2 for 7, 29% in the playoffs. Against Milwaukee this season at 2.5, just 50%. You guys are saying over? You sure about that? Is that where you want to put your money down on Jaylen Brown is over his 3-point makes? Listen, the public's loving it. At 2.5 3-point makes, he is a minus 150, minus 155 to go over 2.5. Projected for 2.8. Hey, this guy right here, Jason Tatum, he's ready, man. He's ready for you tonight. He said, yeah, I had a bad game last game. You lost money if you took the overs on my 3-point prop. But guess what? I'm back, baby. I'm ready to get you that money back. That's what Jason Tatum's thinking tonight. He's lacing up those sneakers, going through the pregame shoot around. He's just thinking about how he can win us back our money tonight. He said, I sold everybody. Everybody thought, hey, Jason Tatum's hit the over on 3.5 3-point makes for 4 games in a row. He's definitely going to hit for a 5th game in a row. That's what everybody thought, and I let them down. Well, tonight, I get them right, and I get their money back in their pockets. That's what Jason Tatum's thinking right now. I just know it. Wherever he is at, all that is on his mind is hitting 4 threes tonight. He knows what he did. He won't do that to us again. Will he? Do you think Jason Tatum sells us one more time? Well, look. He's 4 for 7 at 4 threes or better. 4 for 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, look at the brilliance. That was Jason Tatum before game 3. 5, 7, 4, 4, 5. He was just making it rain against the Milwaukee Bucks. 5 straight games against the Bucks. Over 3.5 3-point makes. Everybody wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. Everybody has a bad day once in a while, right? We hope that was Jason Tatum's bad day. 13, 10, 9, 10. And then he shot just 6 threes in game 3. All Jason Tatum wants is another opportunity to right his wrongs. Are we going to give him that chance tonight? That's all he wants to do. He just wants us to get our money back. He's projected for 3.7 threes. At 3.5, he's a betting favorite at minus 140 to go over. Of course, this isn't financial advice. Look at me. Do I look like anybody that you should trust with financial advice? Come on. Jason Tatum, give him another chance. That's all he wants, you know? Don't break up with him yet. Let him take you out on another date tonight. Where are you going? Destination 3-point land. You're going to have a lot of fun. Jason Tatum just wants to hold your hand and take you out on one more date to prove he is the man that you thought he was. And last game was just a fluke. All right. Golden State, Memphis. Who we liking from this game? 3-point shooters. We got Steph. We got Desmond Bane out there without Ja Morant. We got Klay Thompson. We've got JP, Mr. Pool Party himself, Jordan Poole. A lot of fun little options here in this Golden State Memphis game. What are we thinking? Anybody want a Warriors 3-point prop? Does anybody want one? Let's look at him. I mean, Jordan Poole at 2.5 3-point makes. He's hitting 7 out of his last 10 games against the Memphis Grizzlies. Steph Curry's hit in 63% of his last 8 games against the Memphis Grizzlies. Andrew Wiggins, 50%. 5 for 10 against Memphis. Those are some of your higher hitters. Curry, and more Curry. Tony says Curry over 3.5 3-point makes and nothing else. We talked about liking Curry over points. That's been very solid. You got to factor in that, he's probably going to hit some threes in order to hit the over on his points prop. So if you're liking the over on points, then I think you should also be considering the over on his 3.5 3-point makes. Let's look at those. My man Steph Curry has now appeared in 8 playoff games. He's just 3 for 8 though. Just 3 for 8 in the playoffs. Now against Memphis, faced Memphis 6 times. He's 3 for 6 against the Grizzlies. So these aren't tremendous hit rates or anything for Curry. They're not extraordinary. hit rates. He's projected for 4.8. At 3.5, though, he is a betting favorite to go over. Minus 130, minus 135. Am I related? OG Kush wants to know, am I related to the Memphis Grizzlies coach? Well, he's my son. I don't know if you knew that, but the guy that coaches the Grizzlies, that's my son. I fathered that child. So yes, I brought him into this world. That's how we're related. I knew you could see the resemblance. It's striking. He takes after his father. That's me. Papa. That's what he calls me. Brooks over threes at 1.5. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Dillon Brooks at 1.5 3-point makes. I didn't think it looked great, especially in the games without Ja Morant. I didn't think it looked great. We could go back and look at that one more time. For those of you that might have missed it, my man Dillon Brooks at 1.5 3-point makes. 43% this season. Not a good hit rate to begin with. When we take Ja Morant out, 45%. His percentages go up 2 percentage points. Doesn't significantly increase without Ja Morant. So I don't love Dillon Brooks tonight, especially on the road. We talked about it earlier. Seems to do better at home than he does on the road. Siscat says that Steve Kerr is already his daddy. Well, then I'll take Steve Kerr onto the Maury show, and we'll just do a simple freaking DNA test, dude. Because I don't believe what you're saying, Siscat. I told you I'm his father. That's what baby mama told me. All right? Now, if Steve Kerr wants to take a DNA test, a paternity test, we'll go on the Maury show and we'll do that. I told you I'm his father. And I won't accept anything else. Come up here with that, man. Don't come up here spreading the lies that Steve Kerr is his father. I am his father. But no, I don't like Dillon Brooks a whole lot tonight at 1.5 3-point makes. He's projected for exactly 1.5. He's a betting favorite, though. The public likes him. Minus 140 and minus 145. So you got that. You got that going. Any other 3-point prompts? I'm scrolling through. I'm looking. I don't see you guys talking to anything other than Curry. So let's move on, man. How about these free throw makes? Are we liking any of these guys to knock down some free throws tonight? What about Desmond Bane at 2.5? Does he get to the line any better, any worse without Ja Morant? I can help you guys answer that question. Let's look at it. Using the power of props.cash, we'll punch in Desmond Bane's name. We will click on that name. We will also go and look at games without Ja Morant. Boom. Then we'll scroll down. We'll go down to the free throw category here. So his free throw attempts and makes. How many times has he went over 2.5 free throw makes without Ja Morant? Not all that much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, not a great hit rate. 8 for 23 on his free throw makes. I don't think we take that. Doesn't look good enough for me. Not feeling it. Maybe it happens, but doesn't look good enough for me to say yes. Throw it in your entries. It's just okay. What about this guy? Does his free throw makes go up without Ja Morant? Well, we could look at that too. Come on, props.cash. Keep up with me. Let's look at Jaren Jackson Jr.'s free throw makes without Ja. Scroll down, down, down. Boom. Free throw attempts and makes. He needs 4. So how many times has he done that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 out of 21. Again, not great. Not great. Otherwise, I don't know, man. Giannis, any given night, right? I mean, he had 9 in his first home game against Milwaukee or against Boston in Milwaukee. 9 free throw makes, so he barely limped over the 8.5. Maybe you look there. This guy cannot be trusted. Jaylen Brown, maybe. Drew Holiday doesn't do a great job of getting to the free throw line. I don't know. Probably not feeling any of these. Truthfully, none of them are looking great. Somebody will hit, but who? I don't know. Nobody knows anything. Probably going to stay off the free throw makes tonight. Blocks and steals. What about these? I want to say Draymond Green does a pretty good job. Oh, not the last 5 games, just 2 for 5. Jaren Jackson Jr., 1 for 5. It's not looking great there. Bane, 3 for 5. Robert the Time Lord Williams, 2 for 5. Steph, 2 for 5. Clay. 8073. Clay. Okay. All right. Maybe we go Klay Thompson. Let's just get a little projection for him. Clay might be the guy. He might be the only guy that I'd consider at 1.5 blocks and steals. He's coming off of a bad game. 0 blocks, 0 steals in game 3 versus Memphis. But we go back and we look, and I mean, he had 4 previous games where he'd hit, so we forgive him. Kind of like Jason Tatum, right? We let Clay take us out and wine and dine us once again tonight on his blocks and steals. We let him take us out one more time. This is your last chance, Clay. Prove yourself. Prove yourself as the man that we all thought you were, right? Take us to a special place, special restaurant, you know. That's all we're asking, Clay. Just prove yourself tonight. 1.5 blocks and steals. Let's take the over on Klay Thompson. He's projected for 1.7. Public's not really betting on this prop, but hey, 4 out of the last 5. Clay, we'll forgive you. We'll give you one more chance. Hey, Gary. Are you upset? Don't be upset, Gary. I'm answering questions, Gary. I'm just not answering your question. And I can tell you're upset. Gary, I don't want you to leave here upset. Guys, I'm going to make time for just me and Gary right now. Everybody else, hold your questions. Gary, fire away, man. It's me and you, brother. Let's get down to the bottom of all your hard-hitting questions right now. Everybody else, please refrain from typing anything into the chat. This is me and Gary time. You're just here watching. Come on, Gary. This is your moment. 1-on-1 with the great one. Let's hear what you got. Me and Gary. Sorry, everybody else. Gary gets special privileges because he's mad. Gets to skip ahead of the line. He's first now, you know? Come on, Gary. Bring it on, buddy. I got all day. Wiggins over on points. Andrew Wiggins over on points. He's at 15.5. We're going to have a red table talk moment. You're right. You're right. This is the red table talk moment. Andrew Wiggins over on points. That's the one you want to go to, Gary? Out of everything that we've talked about, you want Andrew Wiggins over on points. All right, we're going to do it. 15.5 points. 63% so far through 8 playoff games. Andrew Wiggins, 15.5 points. 5 for 8. Averaging 15 points per game through the playoffs. 16.4 in his last 5 games. He's hit his points prop in every game against Memphis in this series so far. Taking a look at what he's done against Memphis in the regular season, he's 4 for 6, 67%. So you're seeing him at 3 out of his last 3, and your butthole's puckering up. That means you like the prop over at 15.5 points, right, Gary? That's what I'm assuming. 34.4 minutes in game 1, 38.1 minutes in game 2, 25.7 minutes in game 3. But despite 25.7 minutes, he still had 17 points. So Andrew Wiggins just keeps getting it done, man. 3 straight games, 3 for 3 against Memphis so far in this series. Gary, I want you to put every last dime to your name over Andrew Wiggins' 15.5 points. He's projected for 17.3. He's a betting favorite to go over 15.5, which is where we're getting him at on PrizePicks. But he is a betting favorite to go under 16.5. So between 15.5 and 16.5. 16 points. So maybe he gets it done, Gary. Listen, I don't know anything. You don't know anything. Nobody knows what's going to happen tonight. We all are just guessing. Gary Privilege. Yeah, you're right, David. If you guys have any questions you want Gary to ask me, just let Gary know. Tag him in the chats. Gary will ask me. We'll have this whole thing. It's a system. Gary, I'm ready for your next one, buddy. What else you got? Throw me another one, Gary. Are you sure this is your last one? Lopez over on points. We talked about Lopez over on points. Where were you when we talked about Lopez over on points? I don't like Lopez over on points. I'm not going to go back and talk about it again, but I think that Lopez over on points looks a little iffy to me. I thought Pat Connaughton over on points at 9 looked better because Connaughton's minutes have gone up game over game over game. So I'm not on Lopez over on points. But if you want to take it, you take it. All right, gang. Gary, I think we're done, bud. What other props are you guys liking? We like any of these double doubles? James Harden? Well, that's not tonight. Forget about him. What about these steals? Drew Holiday, he's hit the steals prop in 3 straight games against Boston. 3, 2, and 3. Maybe you go Drew Holiday steals tonight. He's projected for 1.8. He's a betting favorite to go over 1.5 at minus 135. So, yeah, that could be a move. Going over Drew Holiday, 1.5 steals. What about Curry? We like Curry. We like Curry for points. Some people like Curry for 3-point makes. That's the only conversation I think we've had for Curry so far. Yeah, Jeremiah. This one's looking good. Block shots. This guy usually gets some block shots. I mean, in this series, he's 1 for 3, though. Is Jason Tatum going to block somebody's shot tonight? He's blocked a shot in the last 2 games. Maybe he does. Holiday over Rebounds? Oh, we're going back to Rebounds. I thought we moved on for Rebounds. Yeah, maybe Holiday over Rebounds. Maybe. He's at 5.5 projected rebounds. He's being bet under at 5.5. So that's Jrue Holiday's rebounds. But yeah, the steals for Jrue Holiday at 1.5 looks like a sweet little look. Guys, I think we're done here. Gary, I just wanted you to be happy, Gary. Everything that I've done today is for you, whether you realize it or not. I hope you know that. And I hope you leave with the warmth inside of your heart. And that you appreciate the time we spent together. Gary, I got to go, bro. I got to go. This is the end for today. But if you're in Patreon and Discord, it's not the end. It's just the beginning. I will see you guys throughout the day inside of Discord and Patreon. We'll be looking at some baseball, some basketball, some hockey. Maybe we'll get into some other stuff too. CSGO, WNBA. There's lots of different things going on today on PrizePicks. So that's where I will be. Going to grab me a little lunch. And we'll be back in Patreon and in Discord. And we'll look at some more props. But appreciate all you guys. Thanks so much for the support. Drop a like on your way out. Catch you in the next one. Peace.